So I finally played Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 5, nearly 7 months after its initial release, but that was intentional. I had a lot on my plate at the time when it came out, but I was a massive fan of the 2018 game. Did that come out? Jeez, that was a long time ago. And also, Spider-Man is my favourite superhero of all time. He always has been. So I was all up in wanting to play Spider-Man 2. And I also enjoy the Miles Morales game as well. Absolutely kick-ass. I think Miles is an awesome character. However, with Spider-Man 2, I completed it in about 10 hours. I only ploughed on with the main story. I did not do any side stuff at all, apart from any minor stuff it makes you do as part of the main story, which I did not like. I'll get to that a bit later on. And now, unfortunately, with this Spider-Man 2, I understand behind the scenes there may have been some issues. I know there was some cut content. I know there's problems. I know it's real people behind this. So please, I'm not attacking the developers as such. I'm attacking Sony. I'm attacking the publishers, the people who are pulling the purse strings, basically, and making some really stupid decisions. This, in my opinion, was not worth the 5-6 year wait. I just don't think it was. It's not because they're doing a different Venom. Do a different Venom all you want, but I just feel like Venom did not belong in this game, and it just got a bit weird towards the end. But I was writing down notes as I was playing the game, and so basically I'll just run through that essentially. Now the gameplay is fine. It could have been a lot better. I think combat should have been a lot better. I got bored of the combat in this game, which is very unfortunate. You get games like the Batman Arkham trilogy, where combat is like the highlight. Combat is satisfying. You can use a load of different gadgets. The attacks are really cool. You can keep doing special moves and all that kind of crap, and you just kick a lot of ass. It's a lot of fun to do. Here, the enemies were just punching bags. I actually turned the difficulty down on the enemies just so that they die faster. Spider-Man is superhuman. Should not take that many hits to take down normal men at all in the slightest. Now, that aside, so definitely the obviously traversal was amazing. Web swinging, the new the web wing things are fine. I didn't use them all the time, but the web swinging is absolutely amazing. I love doing that. Super cool. So traversal is fine. Combat should have been much better, in my opinion. The graphics are just really good. They look to me pretty much the same as they did in the Miles Morales game. Nothing super extreme there. However, the amount of bugs and glitches I encountered in this game, it was a lot. And that's 7 months after release. Now, I'll show some footage of that now, but oh my god, like, what in the absolute hell? There was invisible walls, there was just parts where it wouldn't let me do things, enemies were getting stuck in walls. Good god. And a lot of people gave, like Starfield for example, grief over bugs and glitches, but this game people were praising should have been Game of the Year last year. I don't think so. No. There's also, coupled with that, the frame drops. Now I'm playing on performance mode in the 120 Hz mode. And for the most part, like 95% of the time, absolutely fine. But during some parts or scenes, the frames would drop hard. They tank. And that should not happen at all. Unfortunately, there's a lot of recycled gameplay, animations, and finishers from the first game. Now, please, I know that sequels usually should be what the first game is, and made better, but this just feels like an extension of the first game, which was also my gripe with God of War Ragnarok. A really good game, but just feels like the 2018 God of War. No, please, especially when you're spending so long making the game, it should be at least a touch more different, you know? Because even the combat in God of War Ragnarok I got bored of because it was pretty much similar to God of War, and it's just... Look, I have PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch and PC. I'm not biased to any specific one. All I want are good games, and games that just get better, especially if they're sequels of things, you know? Unfortunately, you have to look at them in a critical way. Don't be content with just the same thing being spoon-fed you all the time. But then there are a lot of people like that play FIFA and Call of Duty, which are spoon-fed the same thing all the time. And they like it. But then, once again, if you love this game, please love it. I am not telling you are wrong. I am not telling you that just because I find all these issues with Spider-Man 2 that it in any way makes you wrong. You are not. You are more than entitled to enjoy this game, and I want you to. And there were moments in this game which were badass. I will get to that. You know, I did really like a few things. What I really didn't like was the tutorials around every bloody corner. My god, it was forcing me to put skill tree points into specific skill trees, which I didn't want. It was forcing me to do this and that and pausing the game. I really hate that. I mean, obviously, if you've watched my channel, you've watched my videos, you know I absolutely love Final Fantasy 16, but I hated the forced tutorial at the beginning. Thankfully, you can skip it upon replay, but I hate that crap. I hate forced tutorials. Don't force people to do a tutorial. It's like Pokemon games. They need to get rid of that crap. They need to say, are you new to Pokemon? No. Okay, skip all that crap then. Thank you, sir. I've been playing this game for 25 years. I don't need a tutorial. You know, it's just, oh my god, tutorials. Now, here's a positive, though, in my notes, is I thought Kraven was awesome. His music, his presence, his design, the way he was awesome and should have been the sole antagonist of the entire game. This game is obviously an adaptation of Kraven's Last Hunt, which is a really cool comic book, and it should have been, this game should have been Kraven's Last Hunt, and that should have been it, and that would have been amazing, and maybe having him die right at the very end in some more awesome way than he got off in this game. His parts were really cool, and I really enjoyed them. Again, the relationship between Harry Osborn and Peter Parker I thought was done really well. I bought it. I thought it was handled very, very well. Whoever thought it was a good idea to put the Mary Jane stealth sections in the game, why? Because they're pretty wank, and also there are a lot of them, and also who thought it was a good idea towards the end of the game to have a Mary Jane Watson shooter section? Why? I didn't want to do that. I want to play Spider-Man. I want to be Spider-Man. You don't play Superman to play as Lois Lane, do you? No, you do not. You want to be Superman. You don't play Batman to be Alfred. So, no. Stop with the Mary Jane Watson stuff. People didn't like it in the other games. People don't like it now. Stop doing it. I mean, you know it's going to be there in the third game, and we really don't need it. But again, it's a recycled thing from the first game. And a recycled thing that people hated about the first game, but they still put it back in. Good God. Now, Miles' story, obviously with Mr. Lee, the Mr. Negative, who obviously killed his father in the first Spider-Man. Spoiler alert, sorry. But that was all handled really well, where he's got to, he's trying to deal with the anger and the revenge and all that type of stuff. That was handled very, very well and was pretty cool. Now, Venom 100% feels shoehorned into this game. It felt very rushed. The story overall is very rushed. Like I said, I think I completed this game in 11 hours-ish. My PlayStation home screen says 9 hours, but I know that's not true. I know it's longer, at least a couple of hours longer than 9 hours. And that's terrible for a game that took this so much longer to make and had all this big hype around it and was just... not, I will give my opinion on what I think the story should be after I've given you the rest of my notes. But 100% this game should have been longer. And I guarantee you it was because of budgetary reasons. Well, not necessarily budgetary reasons, but for people who were greedy and just wanted money, that's why a lot of stuff was cut. Also, like the lizard parts in the game were awesome, and there should have been a lot more of them. That would have been pretty cool. I do hate the design of the Black Spider-Man look, his suit. I'm just not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of the way that the symbiote looks in this game anyway. It just kind of looks like water, but not very well rendered water. It just looks a bit just meh. Like I said, obviously I put once again in my notes, this was towards the end of the game, that the combat is meh and the enemies are too spongy, and there is definitely some really bizarre mission design here. There is some horrific... There are points... I hate defending something and fighting waves of enemies. I hate that with a burning passion, and you have to do that towards the end of the game when you're fighting these symbiote things that Venom has created, which just feels so meh. Why? Who thought that would be a good idea? I don't want to do wave defense missions. Oh my god, don't do it. And also, The city design, I think, should have been a lot better. There should have been dynamic random events and never-ending randomizing crimes. By which I mean, could you imagine how awesome it would be to have... obviously, we can't use anything like the Nemesis system because Warner Brothers have killed that dead because they're great. But you imagine, like, the Shocker, for example. Now, a lot of supervillains were killed off screen. Scorpion was killed on screen pretty savagely by Kraven in this game. But there's a lot of them that were killed off screen. And I think that was maybe one or two cool, but I think it would have been a lot better to have these have Kraven released all of these, the Rogues Gallery of Spider-Man, and then you could randomly encounter them out in the world, fight them, get them back in prison, but they can break out again, and just have some dynamic dialogue between, say, oh, well, you got me last time with that bank robbery, but you're not going to get me this time, etc., etc., and have just the crimes continually keep coming back, because I think this is like the first game that once you've done like X amount of crimes in an area, there will never be another crime. And if New York was really like that, then I'm sure it would be an absolutely amazing place to live without the fear of getting jumped around every corner. But not that I'm saying that London isn't like that. London is 100% scary as hell. But yeah, it just should have been. It should have been next gen. Should have been something more, something better, something, pun intended, amazing and spectacular, which is what Spider-Man should be. And there were moments in this game and certain gameplay moments which I thought were really cool, but a lot of it was just, it felt just, put in there, that'll do, that'll pad out the game time. And it should not have been that way. And especially with Venom, less is more. I don't want to fight all these other sissy symbiotes that are just there and are super spongy. I want to fight Venom. The boss fights in this game also were really weak. Punch in the face, dodge, whip, grab that with L1, L2, punch in the face. Oh, I've got down one of his life bars. Punch him in the face, dodge, parry, punch him in the face. Oh my god. It was as monotonous as it was for me just saying that. That's how I felt about the boss battles. I am just a Spider-Man fan of the first game and of the character that was just really let down and disappointed in this sequel. And I didn't want to be. I wanted to love it like I did the others, but unfortunately I just can't make myself love something just because there's certain parts of it that I like. I will play it again through New Game Plus in the future, and I will go back and do the side content, but not for the time being. It's been completed, it's been uninstalled, and it will sit on my shelf because I bought it physically. It will sit on and dirt cheap, by the way. It will sit on my shelf now for maybe a year. And I'll go back to it, and I'll do it whenever I get the mood to play Spider-Man, and I'll 100% it. But before I go, what I think this game should have been is it should have been 2 separate campaigns, 2 separate stories that interlink at certain points, like Resident Evil 2 and 1, etc. You know, like the Resident Evil games. It should have been, do you want to play through Peter's story or Miles' story? And maybe give the option to swap between them at any given time so that you could progress both stories. But make both stories 15 hours long each. So you get 30 hours between both Spider-Men. Create different things for the different Spider-Men to do. And that would have... And maybe had a section that you unlock a shorter sort of like 4 or 5 hour long Venom one, and then that. But then, of course, that's silly of me. That would have meant creating a sequel which was 100% bigger and better than the first game with new things added in. I mean, that's very optimistic of me, really, isn't it? But that's just what I think. I am so sorry if you're a Spider-Man 2 fan and you've watched this and you absolutely hate me. Please feel free to hate me. I hate myself at times, but this game should have been better, and I do not have as higher hopes for the Wolverine game now. The bar has been set very low for that game, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So unfortunately, if you haven't got this game yet, I would 100% wait for it to be less than 20 quid, and be prepared for some monotony, a lot of repetitiveness, and for it to feel far too much like the first game. Which in some ways, of course, is great, but in a lot of cases is also bad. But yeah, there we go, that's it. This video was obviously run longer than I usually intend my videos to go, but I did have, unfortunately, a lot to say about the game. But please let me know in the comments down below how you felt with Spider-Man 2. And as always, thank you very much for watching.